Sometimes the most effective response to an accusation isn't a statement, it's simply showing up. Days after a senior Italian tennis official publicly suggested Carlos Alcaraz might be experiencing depression during his recovery from a wrist injury, the Spaniard offered his answer. Not a press conference, not a social media post addressing the claim directly. Instead, a video surfaced from his training base in Murcia. Alcaraz on court, working intensely with a training partner, moving freely, hitting with real conviction. The caption attached to that footage, shared by the communications director of his home club, said everything that needed to be said. Depression? Nonsense. This is a story about how an athlete chooses to respond when faced with unfounded speculation about something as serious as their mental health, and about a growing pattern of tension between Alcaraz and voices within Italian tennis that this incident is only the latest chapter of. To understand the full weight of this moment, you have to go back to exactly what prompted it. Gianni Daniele, chief doctor and chair of the Medical and Anti-Doping Commission of the Italian Tennis Federation, gave an interview to La Repubblica in which he suggested Alcaraz could be experiencing a kind of mental weakness tied to his prolonged wrist recovery, describing what he called a possible form of depression and a vicious circle, preventing the Spaniard from regaining his previous confidence. He offered no verified source for this claim, describing it himself as circulating speculation rather than confirmed information. The comments sparked immediate, widespread criticism. Spanish tennis journalist José Morón called them absolutely disgraceful, pointing out that Daniele had no actual basis for the claims he was making. Fans and commentators across the sport echoed similar frustration, with many specifically noting that no official medical statement, from Alcaraz's team, from any doctor involved in his actual care, had ever suggested anything resembling what Daniele was describing. According to Spanish outlet Mundo Deportivo, this wasn't an isolated incident either. Reports indicated Daniele had made what were described as inappropriate remarks about Alcaraz on previous occasions, suggesting a pattern rather than a single, out-of-context comment. And the timing mattered too. Daniele's remarks followed closely behind separate comments from Angelo Binaghi, president of the Italian Tennis Federation, who had criticized Alcaraz earlier in the year over an unrelated matter, a custom luxury yacht the Spaniard had reportedly commissioned, with Binaghi drawing an unflattering comparison to Jannik Sinner, suggesting the Italian world number one would never make such a purchase. Two senior figures within the same national federation making pointed, personal comments about a rival country's biggest star within the same year. That's the backdrop against which Alcaraz's response actually needs to be understood. So how did Alcaraz actually respond? According to reporting from Mundo Deportivo, he gave no verbal or written statement addressing Daniele's comments directly. He apparently considered himself above the rumors and judged that neither the moment nor the platform warranted a direct verbal reply to speculation that had no evidence behind it in the first place. Instead, the response came through action. Antonio Hernandez, director of communications at Real Sociedad de Campo in El Palmar, Alcaraz's home club, shared video footage showing the Spaniard training intensely, with Carlos Hernandez serving as his hitting partner. The footage showed exactly what you'd expect from a player working hard to prepare for a return to competition. Sharp movement, committed shot-making, the kind of visible intensity that stands in direct contrast to any suggestion of someone struggling with motivation or confidence. Hernandez's caption accompanying the video was blunt and pointed. Depression? Nonsense. That response strategy is worth examining on its own terms, because it reflects a specific, deliberate choice about how to handle unfounded speculation. But Alcaraz didn't dignify the claim with a direct denial, which can sometimes have the unintended effect of keeping a story alive longer than it deserves, or making it seem like a claim serious enough to require formal rebuttal. Instead, the response let visible, documented reality speak for itself. A player clearly training hard, clearly engaged, clearly not withdrawn in the way Daniele's comments had implied. There's something worth noting in how this contrasts with Daniele's original claims. Daniele's comments were built entirely on speculation. His own words described it as a hypothesis and a rumor he was choosing to repeat and elaborate on publicly. Alcaraz's response, by contrast, was built on documented, visible fact. Actual footage of him actually training, shared by someone with direct, first-hand knowledge of what was happening at his own training facility. One side of this exchange offered unverified claims dressed in professional authority. The other offered simple, visible evidence. That distinction matters for how this entire episode should be understood. This wasn't really a back and forth in the traditional sense of two parties trading arguments. It was closer to unfounded speculation being met with straightforward, visible reality, a response that let the facts do the talking, rather than escalating into a public dispute that would have kept the original, baseless claim in headlines even longer. What does this episode actually reveal, both about Alcaraz's current situation and about the broader relationship between the Spaniard and voices within Italian tennis? On the practical, physical side, the training footage aligns with other verified updates about Alcaraz's recovery. Reports have indicated he recently passed a relevant medical examination and was declared fit to return to play by doctors actually involved in his care, a detail that stands in direct, documented contrast to Daniele's speculation about an unresolved psychological block. Separate updates describing his sessions as showing very intense training, with increasing levels of effort in his hitting and serving, further support a picture of a player physically progressing toward competition readiness, rather than one struggling with the kind of motivational crisis Daniele's comments implied. On the relational side, this episode adds another chapter to what's becoming a genuinely documented pattern of tension between Alcaraz and certain figures within Italian tennis specifically, the yacht comments from Benaghi earlier in the year, the reportedly repeated inappropriate remarks from Daniele, according to Mundo Deportivo's sourcing, and now this, a chief medical officer publicly speculating about a rival's mental health with no evidence, drawing sharp criticism from Spanish media and tennis observers alike. It's worth asking why this pattern specifically involves Italian Federation figures commenting on a Spanish player, particularly given the broader context of Sinner and Alcaraz's ongoing rivalry as the two biggest young stars in men's tennis. Whether these comments reflect genuine institutional tension, personal opinions from specific individuals that don't represent the wider federation, or simply media figures generating headlines through provocative statements, the practical effect has been the same each time. Public commentary about Alcaraz that goes well beyond legitimate tennis analysis, forcing his camp to decide, repeatedly, how much attention such comments actually deserve. Alcaraz's specific choice this time, silence paired with visible action, offers a useful marker for how his team appears to be handling this pattern going forward. Rather than engaging directly with each new provocative comment, the strategy seems to be letting his actual conduct and recovery speak for itself, denying these stories the extended news cycle a direct rebuttal might otherwise generate. So what should we actually take away from this entire episode? An unfounded mental health claim from a rival federation's chief doctor, followed by a training video and 3 simple words. The core facts remain what they've always been. Alcaraz suffered a genuine, documented wrist injury, tenosynovitis, an inflammation of the tendon sheath, in April at the Barcelona Open. His recovery has been gradual and methodical, verified through actual medical clearance and increasingly intense training sessions, rather than through unverified speculation from officials outside his own camp. The suggestion that his prolonged absence stems from depression or mental weakness was, by the speaker's own framing, based on rumor rather than any confirmed information, and it was met with widespread criticism from journalists and fans who recognized it for exactly what it was. Alcaraz's response, choosing not to dignify the claim with direct engagement, instead letting visible footage of his own hard work speak for itself, reflects a deliberate, measured approach to handling unfounded speculation about something as serious and personal as mental health. It's a response that neither confirms nor validates the claim through excessive rebuttal, while still making clear, through simple documented reality, exactly how baseless the original speculation actually was. Whether this specific pattern of tension between Alcaraz and voices within Italian tennis continues as the US Open approaches remains to be seen. What's clear right now is this. One side offered speculation without evidence. The other offered training footage and 3 words. Sometimes that's answer enough. Subscribe for more deep dives like this.